They call me Wraith. It's a name I earned. I've spent the last century and a half working for the Shadow Claw Collective, a silent brotherhood of assassins, the best in the known galaxy. We've taken out corrupt politicians, crime lords, even the occasional planetary tyrant for those who had the credits to pay. A hunter's life, full of precision and purpose. It's a good living if you don't mind the moral grayness of it all. But things have changed. They've changed since the humans joined the Galactic Coalition of Planets. Before humans, assassination contracts were predictable. Messy, yes, but with established rules. Target a leader, destabilize a government, reap the benefits. With the humans, it's different. Nobody warned us how different. Now, every experienced assassin I know avoids contracts involving humans like a Draxian flesh-rot plague. Let me tell you why. It all started with Senator Alara from the Tranquil Sovereignty. A powerful figure, a vocal critic of human expansion. Someone was worried enough about her influence to pay the Shadow Claw's exorbitant fee. My superiors assigned the job to me. Standard fare, slip past security, a silenced phase pistol to the back of the head, and then melt back into the ether. I'd studied Senator Alara extensively, knew her movements, her habits, all the weaknesses in her security detail. This should have been easy. It wasn't. I made my move during a diplomatic function, blending in with the crowd as Alara held court amongst simpering delegates. Minutes until the opportunity presented itself, a lull in security as she excused herself for refreshments. This was it. My phase pistol hummed, ready for the kill, then suddenly music. Not just any music, a deafening, thumping rhythmic mess. The humans call it bass drop or something like that. The senator flinched, startled. Her guards snapped to attention, eyes darting, spoiling my shot. Cursing my luck, I retreated, planning to strike later. But the gods of chaos seemed to be smiling on Senator Alara that day. A flustered aide spilled a drink on her tunic, forcing her to leave early. Then an emergency comm message, critical negotiations, or some such nonsense. The rest of the night was an impossible tangle of missed shots and blaring human music. Exasperated but undeterred, I stalked Alara for weeks. Not once did I find a clean opportunity. It was as if the universe itself conspired against me. Security tightened. Routine changed on a whim. Paranoia gripped her staff. Then came the rumors. Whispers that some shadowy killer was after her, that her own government couldn't guarantee her safety. The Tranquil Sovereignty, a society built on serene order, spiraled into internal conflict. The fallout was substantial. Alara was recalled, her influence shattered. My mission, technically, was a success. Yet, it felt empty, without the clean satisfaction of a silent kill. Word of the human troubles spread fast. It was all any assassin in the seedy underbelly of the galaxy could talk about. Initially, it was amusement. These humans, so new to galactic politics, fumbling around, vulnerable. But that laughter dried up quickly. We'd made a grave mistake underestimating humans. See, with other species, if an assassination fails, their first instinct is cover up. Deny, denounce, sweep it under the rug. Humans? They do the exact opposite. When news of the attempt on Senator Alara reached Earth, it wasn't met with fear, but with roaring anger. I saw the broadcasts, fiery-eyed human leaders declaring it an act of war, their voices carrying across subspace transmissions to rattle the stars. Within a cycle, the entire human armada was on the move. And this was on behalf of the Tranquil Sovereignty, mind you, because humans love war. They went straight for us, the assassins. The Shadow Claw had prided itself on secrecy. Our hidden bases, our clandestine networks, all burned to ash in the blinding light of human warships. We never saw it coming, never understood how they found us. It was like every human mind across the galaxy became an unblinking eye, tracking the slightest ripple that might betray us. I was one of the lucky ones. I escaped the initial onslaught, fled into the outer reaches, a lifetime of experience reduced to that of a hunted animal. They say humans are vengeful. Turns out, that's an understatement. The pursuit hasn't stopped. Harried by bounty hunters, harassed by human spec ops teams, it's almost impossible to lay low for more than a few orbits. Even the most cold-blooded of my colleagues broke under this relentless pressure. Some turned themselves in, begging for sanctuary. Others, well, let's just say their desperation had messy consequences. Humans don't just want justice, they want to send a message. A message scorched into the collective psyche of the galactic underworld. Touch one human, or even a human ally, and every shadow in the cosmos becomes your hunting ground. You want to know why assassins refuse human contracts. It's not out of fear for the individual target. Even their mightiest warriors or cleverest politicians are mere flesh and blood, vulnerable as any other. No, what we fear is the pack. The howling, relentless pack bound together by bonds stronger than any treaty or self-interest. We fear their grief, for it fuels a relentless storm that sweeps across the galaxy. We fear their ingenuity, because they find ways to exploit our weaknesses, turning our own tools against us. Most of all, we fear their unshakable camaraderie, because when a single human bleeds, the entirety of their civilization comes to avenge them. The old ways of the Shadow Claw are dead. Humans have changed the rules of the game, and we can either adapt or become ghosts ourselves. I, for one, have no taste for extinction. My new life isn't glamorous. Gone are the high-stakes targets and exorbitant payouts. I trade information now, whispers and rumors peddled to the highest bidder. It's a desperate business, but the humans seem content to let it slide as long as no blood is on my hands. A shadow of my former self, perhaps, but a living shadow nonetheless. It gives me time to observe this peculiar species that has so thoroughly upended the galactic order. Turns out, what makes them so dangerous also makes them fascinating. They are an enigma. Other races see their aggression, their vengeful streak, and condemn them as barbarians. But I see something more. I see it in the way they raise their young. Not just instruction in knowledge or skills, but the deliberate forging of bonds. Every human child, it seems, is told stories of shared history, of sacrifices made so they could stand a little taller. Their education is part textbook, part battle cry. That's how they cultivate an allegiance that transcends individual interest. I see it in their art, which is often crude or overly sentimental by the standards of older races. Yet it pulses with a raw energy we've long since suppressed. They sing war songs disguised as love ballads, paint murals of defiance against cosmic backdrops, act out tales of betrayal and retribution on shimmering stages. Their art is both chronicle and weapon, reminding them who they are and what they're willing to fight for. Most importantly, I see it in their eyes. There's a spark there, a defiance that belies their soft forms and relatively short lifespans. Perhaps it's born from the knowledge that they are latecomers on this vast stage, surrounded by species with head starts of millennia. Or maybe it stems from their homeworld itself, a place of both breathtaking beauty and brutal extremes. Whatever the cause, the result is undeniable. This fire in them forges a sense of collective purpose that makes my kind obsolete. Assassins thrive on division, on pitting one interest against another. But humans, they turn so readily from rivals into allies when a common threat arises. It's as maddening as it is stunning to behold. The fallout from the Shadow Claw debacle continues to ripple outwards. Many old contracts, once thought untouchable, now lie abandoned. Some crime lords have tried going the direct route, hiring their own armies, declaring a vendetta on Earth itself. It's absolutely foolish of them. Those conflicts burn hot and fast, ending with ruined planets and human fleets ever more seasoned by the fires of war. Yet humans aren't purely vengeful creatures. There's a calculated pragmatism at play as well. I've witnessed delegations of battle-scarred human commanders sitting across tables from former enemies, hashing out armistices and begrudging treaties. They haven't forgotten the insults, haven't forgiven, but they recognize strength, and they respect necessity. Amidst this chaos, I've stumbled upon something unexpected. A crack in the facade, a potential new niche carved out by their relentless war-making. You see, with humans fixated on external threats, they've grown complacent about internal ones. In their zeal to protect themselves from the galaxy, they've left back doors unguarded within their own society. Corporate espionage, political sabotage, the kind of petty greed and ambition that plagued every civilization since the dawn of time. It's surprisingly ripe for the picking. For an assassin grown weary of the galaxy-shaking fallout humans bring, this presents a peculiar opportunity. It's small-scale, beneath the notice of their starship patrols and zealous counterintelligence. Humans, obsessed with the grand picture, sometimes miss the knife hidden in the folds of their own robes. Perhaps there's a way to turn my unwanted notoriety to my advantage, to market myself as a specialist in human targets, someone who understands this new, volatile breed and their peculiar blind spots. Of course, the risks are enormous. Humans, even consumed by their own affairs, are still formidable adversaries. But if I play my cards right, maybe I can forge a new path. It would mean abandoning the true anonymity of the Shadow Claw, becoming a known figure, a legend spoken in the smoky backrooms of human power centers. A gamble, to be sure, but then again, my entire life is a gamble now. They call me Wraith. I used to hunt those the shadows couldn't reach. Soon, if fortune smiles upon me, I might find myself working for humans and once again hunting the shadows within humanity itself. I have an update, so pay attention as some time has passed since I last started working for humans. One would think living on a knife's edge would become tiresome, but it seems that thrill never gets old. The challenge of targeting humans, it's intoxicating. There's a dance to it, a study of patterns and behaviors so starkly different from anything I've known. Take my most recent assignment. A corporate magnate, ruthless and ambitious, a man who thought his wealth and influence shielded him from consequences. Normally, a figure like this wouldn't even register on my radar. But humans, well, their idea of too big to fail is adorably naive. They love their heroes and hate their villains with almost religious fervor. This magnate, with his shady business deals and labor abuses, had made himself a prime target. The trick wasn't eliminating him. Any fool with a blaster can do that. No, the trick was in making his death look inevitable. Not a targeted assassination, but the tragic result of his own unchecked greed. It took months. Misinformation was planted with his rivals, coded messages slipped to investigative journalists, and meticulously falsified records found their way into the hands of regulators. Humans crave narrative, a clear chain of cause and effect. I provided them with that, painting a picture of reckless arrogance leading to a dizzying fall. When the authorities finally came crashing through his gilded gates, the man was already broken. Not by my hand, but by the relentless machine of human justice fueled by public outrage. His death, by his own hands, splashed across the news feeds and was merely the final act of a drama I had carefully orchestrated. The pay was substantial and, more importantly, discreet. Humans, for all their obsession with external threats, remained surprisingly lax about tracking illicit funds within their own systems. But the credits weren't the only reward. I'm starting to relish the game. Not for the kill, but for the manipulation, the twisting of human perceptions with the precision of a scalpel. One well-placed falsehood, a single ripple in their sprawling information networks, can set off a chain reaction that brings empires crashing down. They believe they've conquered the galaxy, these humans. In truth, they've barely begun to understand it. And that's where I come in. I'll check back with you all soon. Latest update. Of course, success breeds arrogance, and arrogance, as any experienced assassin knows, can be your downfall. I've become too bold, perhaps too comfortable exploiting humankind's predictable passions. My last target should have served as a warning. He was a mid-level politician. Corrupt, yes, but cunning. Someone who understood how to play the game of public opinion, who danced expertly on that fine line between charming ambition and ruthless pragmatism. I underestimated him. At first, the plan unfolded seamlessly. I leaked evidence of his backroom deals, subtly inflamed tensions between him and his rivals. The outrage machine churned just as I intended, amplified through news feeds and social platforms. But this time, he fought back. Humans have a peculiar term for it, damage control. He didn't deny the allegations because that would be tantamount to an admission of guilt. Instead, he embraced them, twisted them. He framed himself not as some corrupt fat cat, but as a lone fighter against entrenched elites. As a champion of the so-called common man. My carefully crafted narrative began to crumble. He turned his public disgrace into a renewed surge of support. The man I had intended to bring down was now on the cusp of even greater power, all thanks to the spotlight I had shone upon him. That's when the hunt turned. Of course, they didn't come for me directly. It was too dangerous, too likely to inflame the very species they're so determined to appease. No, it was subtler. Hushed conversations of an old scandal suddenly resurfaced. A concerned citizen reported suspicious activity near my infrequent hideouts. A spotlight shone upon my few remaining contacts. The message was clear that they could make my life much harder than it needed to be without laying a finger on me. Humans may be quick to rage, but they're also masters of the slow burn. I'm on the run again, but this time it's different. This time there's no galaxy large enough to hide in. They've taught me something invaluable, and with chilling clarity. It's not enough to understand humans, you must respect them. They are as unpredictable and devastating as a cosmic storm. Yet, within that storm lies a pattern, a rhythm that can be harnessed if one is brave enough or foolish enough to try. I, the veteran assassin, the wraith who stalked the galaxy, have become the student once more. And humanity, with all its fiery contradictions, is my merciless teacher.